Alright, here we go with the T-44-85, the new Tier 7 medium premium tank for the Russian line. Now what we got here is basically a T-44 with the 85mm gun. That's the second gun, the second last gun on the T-34-85, so basically even the Tier 6 tank has a better gun than you. However, it has 126 penetration, 160 damage, which is alright for Tier 7, especially for a tank that is basically a Tier 8 tank. The hull is a little bit less armored. Mobility-wise, it does pretty nicely. And hit points are more than enough. With 1150 on Tier 7, that is decent. Now, the overall armor on this tank is pretty nice, even though it's less than the normal T-44 has. And you can use it basically very similarly to the Panther M10, since it has only a +1 matchmaker. Against other medium tanks, your armor is pretty nice, especially against other T-44-85s. Which brings me to the next big problem of this tank, the gun. As you can imagine, 126mm with the Panzer IV and the 75mm gun already having almost that much. That is not a good thing. That is not something you want to have, even on Tier 7. Now, as you can see, taking a few shots on the scout tanks here. I'm not sure about this tank. I mean, in a wolf pack, maybe with a Panther M10 and another T-44-85, sounds like a good and decent platoon. As you can see, I'm mostly doing pot shots here, snapshotting a little bit, trying to stay on the move, because I don't really want to get hit by the Lorraine artillery. Now, up front, it is... Let's have a look at this real quick. Now, if you face an enemy T-44-85, for example, which is a good example at this point, you can pan the lower front plate pretty easily and obvious weak spots, but as soon as it's, I'd say like this, angled like this, all you can do is, well, track him. That is not a good thing. That basically means any other tank that is good at angling will basically bounce all your shots. Have a Tiger right in front of you, he's probably gonna angle his tank and then you're gonna be bouncing that Tiger. Now trying to get a few shots in here, changing targets around. Here, again, basically now he's shooting me like this, and all he can do is detract me. See, there we go. Pretty good reload time. Reload time is 4 seconds, which is amazing. And later on you'll see that this is really pretty nice against other medium tanks. But highly armored medium tanks, Panther for example, or like this tank angled, that's a problem. It has a huge cupola if you can hit it. There we go, I got a little bit too cookie here. Taking a few shots, taking a little bit of damage, deciding to repair and get the hell out of here. Don't want to be messing with these guys like this. Now, the gun, as I mentioned, is pretty, well, not really good. Depression is alright for a Russian tank. Ammunition-wise, has more than enough for the course. Mobility-wise, it's pretty good. Pretty much like a T-44. I think it's slightly worse, maybe. It feels good, though. That's what is important, right? Armor, as stated, it's good against itself, but I wouldn't trust it any otherwise. Like any Tier 6 tank destroyer, heavy tank, medium tank will probably pen you up front. If you're angled, high pen guns will still pen you without a problem. It is a weakened T-44 hull after all. Camo wise, I'd say it has good amount of camo for a medium tank. Equipment wise, it's basically the same for like what you have on all medium tanks. And here we go, a nice little firefight between 3 T-44-85s, but unlike them, I got some help over there. There we see. A little bit of server lag there. And there we go. Always good to have backup. Now, if you've seen that, well, they missed a couple of shots. They also bounce a lot of them. That's the big problem about a low pen gun in a medium tank like this. Like, normally they always have a low pen gun. Like, if you compare the Panther 2 gun to the T-44 gun, obviously the Panther 2 gun has more pen, and overall it seems to be better in certain situations. But the T-44 still has enough penetration to do certain things. And that includes, for example, being able to pen other tanks even in close combat, where it can get a little bit hectic. Sometimes you can't really shoot and aim carefully, you just have to take a snapshot. And that's the problem with a really low pen gun. You will bounce, or don't even pen. And I think that the 85mm of this tank is really on the limit on how low you can get with the penetration before the tank is rendered useless. It's on the limit. It's still useful and it's still working because it has the +1 matchmaking, but it can get kind of bad at times, kind of worrisome. Now here's a little example for you for the gun depression. Gun depression is really not that great. As you can see, I can't depress the gun enough. Can't get depressing enough. Fighting the more important enemy here. Can't pen the turret, of course, the Schmalturm turret. Trying to take out the tank destroyer, but a little bit of server lag again, hitting the frontal. Well, that's a pretty stupid shot by me. However, I have to turn around and play around with this guy for a little bit. Aside from that, what else do we have? Well, that's basically it. It's for a premium tank, it's a pretty decent tank, I would say. A little bit more dogfight action here. As you can see, turret to reverse is not really good. But luckily, the enemy I'm facing is not that good either. He's missing a lot of shots here, a lot of opportunities missed. And he's bouncing too. Keep that bouncing going. There we go, making him bounce again, and that's it for him. 4 seconds reload at work. Now, what I didn't figure out is that the IS is currently unavailable. I thought he was playing still and just be really obnoxious about trying to kill me, but apparently he was deceived. So that's this battle. Now let's drive out of this bush. There we go. Now, a verdict, a final first impression verdict, so to speak, because I have played like 8 games in this tank so far. And I don't really want to play more of them because I kind of figured out if I want to buy this tank or not. And I can see buying this tank, especially since the second Russian medium line is now there, and I'm currently grinding that up, because it would be nice to train the crew on it. And it's also kind of a nice tank. At first I was a little bit wary of the 126 penetration. As you can see, I'm also down to 17 shells at the moment, and the game's still running for 8 minutes. So in a longer battle in which you have to fire a lot of shells, you might run out of shells even in this because of the 4-second reload. That's the thing you have to keep in mind, and that's really something you don't want to do. I mean, there's a few tanks you can run out of ammo already, and I don't like that at all. What else is there to mention? It's basically it. I would recommend buying it if you want to use it as a crew trainer, but if you don't ever plan to play the Russian medium tanks and they're just looking for a premium tank that's fun to drive, there are 2 options for that. Buy it if you platoon a lot, because this is a good tank for a platoon. A nice little Wolfpack medium platoon. There you go, there's the T-44-85. Maybe mix it up with the Panther M10. It's also got a +1 matchmaking, and it's a pretty decent tank too. For solo pubbing, I can't see it. soloing in this tank doesn't sound like a really good idea. Mostly because of the penetration. There's always this chance that you need to face a tank up front that you won't pan. For example, DIS tank over there is pretty hard to pan with a 126mm gun, penetration gun, of course. And yeah, that's about it. T-44-85. I might actually buy it. Well, see you next time.